New York's first congressional district on our East End, no stranger to primary campaigns. That is true. Again this year on both sides of the aisle. At least two candidates are vying for the Democratic nod as well, including a former news anchor and political commentator.
We need to build the broadest possible coalition to defeat Donald Trump, defend our democracy, and win back the House from his MAGA minions who don't even seem interested in solving problems anymore. Together, we can flip this seat.
Former CNN anchor John Avlon has decided to jump into the fray. The veteran journalist has already picked up some key endorsements in the race and will face 2020 1st District Democratic candidate Nancy Goroff in a primary. Joining us now to talk about his decision to leave CNN and run for Congress is John Avlon. Thanks for coming in here.
Good to see you, Rich. How are you, man?
I'm good. So you decide to jump in. You watch all this and you say, I got to get in this. Why is that?
Look, I think because the stakes are so high. For the country and the community I love. I loved being a journalist. I was privileged to be the editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast and anchor and analyst at CNN. But there are, I think, times in our country's history, and I write history books on the side, where democracy is in real danger. And I think it's up to people to step up, all citizens to step up, roll up your sleeves and get in the arena. And I just personally felt that I didn't want to be able to look at my kids and say I could have done more when it mattered most. And as great as it is being a journalist, I didn't feel like simply offering opinions on cable news panels was enough when there's a real opportunity to flip a seat, to make sure Democrats have control of Congress, which itself is a bulwark of democracy. And I saw the opportunity to make a difference, to make a real difference in this election. And I said, you know what, now's the time to get in the arena. It's a hard path, but it's the right path.
It's a big jump in a profession where you've got to be all in. You can't be half journalist, half candidate. So for you in the first congressional district specifically, tell folks about your ties to the district and what you want to do for them.
Sure. So look, I mean, we've lived there since 2009. We started living in the house that is our home. Right when my wife and I were first married. I voted there for years, in part because I was not a big fan of Lee Zeldin, frankly, and felt that, this was an opportunity. It's a swing district. That also is a rarest of all things in politics. I think folks don't fully appreciate maybe one of the reasons we have just such dysfunction in Washington, that is the status quo, is there are not enough swing districts. Most elections are decided in closed partisan primaries. So a swing district has a more representative election. That's a good fight because it requires reaching out beyond the base and engaging in the art of persuasion again. And when you look at Suffolk County and the challenges we're facing, there's a huge opportunity, I think, for Democrats to come in and restore people's faith that government can work for them again. I mean, you look at the squeezing of the middle class. This has been going on for a long time. We can bring more money into real people's pockets by doing things like repealing SALT, the state and local tax deductions that Trump and the Republicans took away as part of a political stunt out of spite. And they could talk a good game about wanting to repeal, but they're too invested in the red state, blue state divide to ever do it. Democrats can and will, and I think we can do more. We can expand the child tax credit. We did it during the pandemic. We cut child poverty in half. That's real money in working families' pockets. And then I think working with unions to really strengthen the middle class in America. We look at how the middle class was made in the very beginning. It's three things. It's labor unions, the GI Bill, and community colleges. And I think Democrats are in a place to reinvest in that. And Joe Biden's already got a real record. I mean, real wages have been outpacing inflation in America. The economy's been working for folks not just at the top, but in the middle. Manufacturing is coming back. The infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act. We can also make sure that those investments help folks here on Long Island and make a lasting difference in our quality of life while lowering the cost of living.
Republicans in recent years have done well on Long Island, especially in these congressional races. Nick LaLota, a freshman incumbent. What would you do to reverse that trend?
Look, first of all, I've never bought the idea that Long Island's moving inexorably to the right. I think Tom Suozzi's win shows that. Candidate selection matters. You need a candidate who can reach out beyond the base, someone who can be strong in the center, but also who's really addressing the issues people care about. And it's not just crime and migrants, but it is crime and migrants, and Democrats need to be playing offense, not defense on those issues that people care about. But you also need to be talking about delivering real solutions for them. And this is one of the frustrations I think a lot of folks feel. Suozzi made a big deal of this, but Nick LaLota is part of the problem on this. Republicans said, look, you want to support Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, which we should as Americans. Then they said, we want a border security standalone bill. Now, Democrats, we favor comprehensive immigration reform. That's how you solve the problem. Everybody knows it. There just hasn't been the political will to do it. But Democrats, Chuck Schumer and others said, fine, we'll work with Republicans to do a standalone border security bill to tie these things together. It was a tough bill. Wall Street Journal said it was the toughest bill to ever get passed, supported by the border security, folks. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump says, nope, don't support it. Walk away. Why? Because he doesn't want bipartisanship to win. He doesn't want Biden to get credit. And he's fundamentally more interested in fighting than fixing. And that's a fundamental problem. Then Nick LaLota piled on. He didn't need to, but he did. He's put out a tweet mocking Senator Langford, saying my 9-year-old could have done a better job negotiating bedtime than with this bill. That shows contempt for solving problems, right? And for a lot of these MAGA congressmen, and LaLota endorsed Trump aggressively. He said, look, if you're more interested in fundraising and fear-mongering off a problem than fixing it, I think that's a firing offense. I think that's common sense to most folks. And so let's deal with the problem. Let's pass that bill. I would certainly support it if I were in Congress. And the fact, that I think we have this time where people aren't focusing on the things that unite us. Instead, playing to the base and trying to divide us. That's part of people's frustration with democracy right now, and I think we can do better.
All right, John Avlon, good to have you here in studio. We'll be following the campaign, the primary, all the way through.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.